Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. I hate to say this, but this is probably the second to last episode of the GLORIO Chat for 2022. We're already
the penultimate episode.
Rapidly approaching the end of the year. That's what we're looking at. Pretty soon we're gonna have to start naming our anime of the year and all that. So everybody start thinking about that now. But in the meantime,
Hot Team Epic wins Anime of the Year 2022.
Yeah, God, which I think we were discussing this. What is the real possibility that Birdie Wing is the anime of the year in 2022? But
non-zero.
Congratulations to Akiba Maid War for winning Anime of the Year 2022.
But Bocchi the Rock, anime of the year. Anyway, all of that happening this season. So maybe this is a good season. I don't know. But we do have our, of course, currently airing anime to talk about. And to do that, I'll introduce everybody. I'm Jel, joined by Iro.
I'm still here. I'm not dead yet.
We're joined by G.
What's good, everybody?
And we have Peter.
They let me back on. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we finally got you back on, Peter, after...
You have to give you a few chances to reduce your sentence.
Yeah, yes, make of that what you will. But glad to have you on. And we got anime to talk about as usual. And Peter, since you're here, I thought we'd talk about a couple things you've had going on. For example, if you go to the glorioblog.com right now, you can read about your trip to Scotland Loves Animation 2022.
Yeah.
How was that? That's basically it's like a movie festival thing, right?
Yeah. So in Scotland, every October there is a film festival where there's a bunch of European, sometimes world premieres. There was a world premiere this year, which is kind of a big deal. And it's all a bunch of anime films. They have a weekend in Glasgow, so Friday to Sunday, and then they have Monday to the following Sunday in Edinburgh, and they show during the week 1 film a day. Then the weekend is 4 films a day. It's loads.
Right.
So yeah, I went with Colons and Yuri, who we watched a bunch of films. I didn't watch Penguin Drum because I don't like Penguin Drum, but Yuri went to see that, and but I saw pretty much everything else.
I'll mention I love Penguin Drum, and I probably wouldn't watch the movie, so I can't blame you. But yeah,
I feel like the big deal was Garden of Remembrance, which is a 20-minute long short film that Yamada Naoko put together.
Okay.
And that was the world premiere, so there was a press and a bunch of stuff going on.
It's not her second thing with Science Star, right?
Yeah. Enyon Choi was also there,
okay.
But it was kind of a whole thing.
That's cool.
And it was a 20-minute long film, and then there was an hour and a half long Q&A. So it was an unusual experience. I'm hoping that more people will be able to see it because it's pretty cool. And then immediately after that was Evangelion. So
sure, yep, all right,
sure, why not? What was your favorite out of all of them?
I should add that there is there's 2 awards that the film festival gives out. There's a judges award and an audience award.
Okay.
So the judges award is a group of people in anime industry will watch all of the films and then debate on which one gets an award, and they have to all they have to have a unanimous vote on it and all that.
Okay.
And then the audience award, people vote on a web form after each film. But there's only films that are some form of premiere are eligible. And
Okay, so you can't.
Right. I did read the post where you said
Right.
you would have.
So you couldn't vote for Penguin Drum, I believe, or 7 Days War, and because like they were shown somewhere else before.
Ava, like presumably,
because it's online already.
Mm-hmm.
So Goodbye No Glees won both awards, and my favorite film was not one of the ones that was eligible for an award. There's a film called 7 Days War, which was just a really good film that is imagine like Home Alone but anime, and instead of like just petty thieves, it's immigration police.
Nice.
Get them. I'll swing a brick on a cable so it clocks ice in the face, breaks their nose.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Highly recommended watching the film. It is very, very good.
All right.
That sounds pretty good. So yeah, that's cool. I mean, it sounds like a fun time. Regardless of whether the movies are good or not, just like kind of a event to go to, right? But
it's good to chill with, like, because people like travel up to Scotland from all over the country, and some people fly in as well, because obviously this is like first time you see a lot of these films outside Japan in a lot of cases, and
right.
And it's pretty good to chill either between films or before or after, particularly earlier in the week when there's nothing happening during the week. So I just took the whole week off work and just chilled with people.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, like I said, you can go to our site and read the post with some of Peter's opinions and the rest of the crew on there, and you can check that out. But it sounds fun. If
you're a fan of Mario Kada, I apologize, but she sucks.
I would not describe myself as a fan of Mario Kart.
She gets mixed reviews across the GLORIO crew for sure. To
this day, we still debate who to blame for Iron-Blooded Orphans, and Mario Kata is certainly one of the suspects.
I have mixed feelings about her myself, so yeah, understandable. But the other thing we wanted to mention while you're here, Peter, says this seems to be a thing now. Whoever we have on, if they have shows that we're not normally talking about, we got to bring them up. But you mentioned you're watching. I'm the Villainess, so I'm taming the final boss.
Yeah.
Which is this my main question on this? Is this the heterosexual version of the other Villainous show? The All Roads Lead to Doom one.
It is super straight, almost to its detriment in some cases. I'm enjoying it. Although that being said, shortly prior to like this recording, I caught up with 3 episodes because I was a bit behind on it, and it's taken a turn that I don't think I'm super fond of, but I don't know. It's doing something that feels like a trope in a lot of shows, but at the same time, there's like extra stuff going on. But,
not knowing anything about this, will attempt to give a plot summary of the show based on its title. I assume the main character falls into their favorite Otome game as the Villainess character, and with their knowledge of what happens to the Villainess character, attempts to get in with the eponymous last boss, who will be the one who executes her in the ending.
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Although I don't think he's the one who kills her in the end. I think it is that she's sort of. I think she's killed by someone else. But
yeah, so like, isn't it like she's? It's kind of like the other one where like if she follows the normal game story that she ends up dying, right? by whatever means. So she's trying to hook up with the demon lord or whatever to change her fate.
To not die.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did really like the one plot twist, I guess, that is sort of in the same as a lot of isekai where someone ends up in a game, but at the same time, there's a bit more to it. I can just drop a spoiler, can't I? I don't think anyone here is going to mind.
Yeah,
By all means.
Spoiler for spoiler.
So
flag
there's someone
flying.
else. There's someone else who knows that they've ended up in the game.
Okay.
And is the protagonist of the game.
Right.
And except unlike the villainess, so our protagonist, this other protagonist is insistent that it's still a game, and so is essentially becoming evil. And
oh yeah, because they don't care if anybody lives or dies, right? Because it's just a game. Is that
Right.
Okay?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's a
Sure. So she's
a
like,
good
well, you're the
twist.
villain, so you should die.
Yeah,
Because that way I can get all the boys for myself.
yeah, like almost becoming a bit like yandere in some cases.
Right.
Like, yeah, gets a bit hasn't directly become stabby yet, I think, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen.
We got a couple episodes left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that sounds like fun for what has now become its own subgenre, apparently, since we have another
Yes.
villainous show happening next season. But
It's a quite popular subgenre, it seems.
yeah. But,
I've not had anything that I absolutely hated yet, but I'm sure it'll happen.
On the whole, that the villainous subgenre seems, at least to my personal sensibilities, less egregious than.
yeah, they've generally fallen under. Yeah, they've generally fallen under like the nice isekai show category, as opposed to the
If I had a gun to my head, or even if I didn't have a gun to my head, I'd rather watch a villainous isekai than a slave beastman harem isekai.
Hero, that is grading on an unbelievably low curve.
Yes, it
all
is.
Like, let's,
Yes, it is.
I know, but my point being that, like, you're not really praising a show when you're saying,
No,
yeah,
I'm
it's
not.
better than getting shot, I guess. Like, let's put that review on the back of the box. Better than getting shot.
yeah. Well, let's talk about one more.
Well, speaking of people who do get shot, speaking of a show that's also better than getting shot,
it's
Oh.
I'm not going to say it's a new show because obviously it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but part 6,
Part
this is the second half hit Netflix.
The third.
Yes,
Part
third. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6, Stone
Part
Ocean
3.
Part 3.
Yeah,
Christ.
and you guys have been watching that. Is this just
Yeah.
as wild as it's?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so just to be clear, as always, we at the GLORIO chat strongly condemn binge watching. Let me be clear, we are anti-bingers here. We watch anime the way God intended, 1 week at a time.
Yeah.
So
Until I have a
currently
podcast episode and I have to catch up on. But yes.
yes, unless of course you are behind and need to catch up in time for recording.
That's different.
But yeah, so we've watched the first episode of the new batch of Part 6. And I mean, we just want to bring it up because look, it's in a lot of ways JoJo is a little bit like how we talk about Spy Family of, yeah, it's still doing the thing it's famous for.
Indeed.
We just finished an arc that was, I guess, technically part of the Part 2 batch against a stand user called Jailhouse Rock that.
Excuse me, it was Jailhouse Lock because they're locked up.
Oh my god! Right, yes, it is Jailhouse Lock as a reference to Jailhouse Rock because this is a Japanese piece of media. So, and I won't get into it because I think we do want to keep this part quick. But the thing that was so the thing that is immensely delightful about Part 6 in general is I think it does a very good job of introducing a new stand and its power in a way that it makes you, the viewer, immediately go, "Oh man, this is gonna be great!" Like just the basic premise of what the stand does, like immediately gets you excited. Like the premise of Jailhouse Lock is Hirohiko Araki watched Memento.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's the premise of the stand.
Memento. Yes.
Yeah, the new stand that they're currently fighting, Bohemian Rhapsody, is Araki saying, "You know what? Part 6 will never be adapted into anime. It will never get adapted, and it will never be
Araki thinking
West.
this 20 years ago, right? Like,
so I'm going to commit as much copyright infringement as I can get away with."
Yes.
Is that getting murdered in the Netflix version where they can't say names or
kind of, yeah. So basically, Bohemian Rhapsody's ability is it can take fictional characters out of media and
here we go.
Personify them in the real world or in the stand dimension. It's not really quite clear yet, but the point is that yes, our heroes have to fight the likes of
Pinocchio.
both public domain characters like Pinocchio and the Big Bad Wolf.
Sure.
But also maybe some much less public domain characters like Mickey Mouse and Mazinger Z.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse should be public domain, right? But that's a whole nother story.
Steamboat Willie will be public domain in a couple of years. But
let us be clear. They say in the manga, "Where the fuck is Mickey?"
Yes.
Yeah, Disney.
They do not say
they're
that
in Florida.
Yes, they do not say that in the anime.
Yeah. They're in Florida, and so in the manga, there's this whole sequence where it's like, "Oh yeah, Orlando's coming up. That's where you can see Mickey Mouse. Where's Mickey in this guidebook?"
Yes, a character quite literally says, "Fuck's sake, if there's no Mickey Mouse, this shit ain't Disney."
And that is not in
that's not in the anime.
No. Mazinger Astro Boy and Tetsujin 28/Gigantor do make appearances though.
So you can very much tell, the Japanese companies were totally cool with this.
They were easy. That was easier to clear. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it's just
pretty good.
Again, sometimes you hear a premise for a stand power and you go, "Man,
right,
this is gonna be fun."
Like, Lord grant us all the bold-facedness, the audacity of Hirohiko Araki to just do whatever he wants, and like, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Who cares? Keep going.
Yeah.
There's always a new stand around the corner.
Yes, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah,
in general, Part 6 is, as an outsider looking in, Part 6 has sounded like the most fun JoJo's been in a while, but yeah. All right.
I mean, we do have minor... I mean, we'll probably get into it during our final thoughts, but I will say that we do have some minor criticisms with, like, some of the stuff about Part 6, but, like...
Sure.
Broadly, yes, it's having a lot of fun with its premise, and I think that's what we're really enjoying about it.
Yeah, in terms of just being just completely off the rails, crazy, like, bizarre, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will also say the new OP. I'm glad we have a new OP for the second half, but also it's not.
It's okay.
By JoJo standards, yeah, it's not amazing.
Yeah. Peter, did you have? Did you raise
on
your hand?
On a sort of a broader thing. How have you found Netflix's treatment of the show? Because it seemed like I've not been watching it, but from what I can understand, they've essentially not advertised it at all. And
I mean, this is a
dump it in chunks.
This is a persistent issue we all have with, I think, Netflix's treatment of anime in general, right?
Right.
They just
Yeah,
don't advertise anything.
Yes, I mean, I think yes. If believe me, Peter, if we wanted to get into the fuck Netflix portion of the podcast, we can. But
We might have done an entire episode on that at some point in
Yeah, I
history.
think
but
so.
Yes.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
long and short is yes. I think Netflix has handled the promotion of JoJo very poorly. Again, I feel like it is the double whammy of both. Netflix is not promoting it very well, and the binge format is terrible for keeping up audience retention. Like people just aren't talking about it, right? Because you have those weird sickos who there are already blog, articles and blogs on various media websites that are already let's talk about the ending of JoJo Part 6. It aired 2 days ago. It's
right. But
Yeah.
no, but
it's
if you
patently absurd.
right, but
And what happens? It's like we kind of talked about this with Cyberpunk last time, where it's like that should be in conversations. We think for Anime of the Year and stuff, but everybody talked about it for a hot second when it came out, and then now everybody just forgets it
Right.
exists. Because
if you compare the way we talk about, I mean, we haven't even talked about JoJo on the podcast in a hot minute because that format kind of just makes it hard to logically slot in anywhere during our podcast conversations. And you compare that to for example, I mean, it's Sunday, so G Witch is currently trending number 1 on Japanese Twitter right now. It's doing better than the World Cup. Everybody's talking about this week's episode, and that's the benefit of weekly airing, right?
Yeah.
Is that you get that drip feed of content to keep people talking week to week, whereas you get one initial burst with the binge format, but then nobody's talking about it.
If you're not the kind of person who will set 12 episodes to run all day while you are sitting doing work and eating or whatever in the 48 hours after it came out, then
yeah,
what are you supposed to do?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's they just dump it out there and don't say anything. There's no promotion or anything on it. Just maybe let's hope the algorithm recommends it to you. Or you're crazy like us and you look at anime charts. But yeah.
When because when I know a few weeks ago when the latest chunk of Part 6 showed up, I saw someone tweet about it, and then I said on the radio show that weekend, hey, just so people know, another chunk of JoJo's up on Netflix, and pretty much the entire response was, "Is there?"
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
Thanks, Netflix.
It's just a very unfortunate way for such a let's be real, right? I mean, does internet discourse actually mean anything? The answer is probably no. But on some level, JoJo was the JoJo anime was an institution of internet culture, right?
For a while there, yeah.
Yeah,
people still do is that a JoJo reference thing?
Right. I mean, for God's sake, people still do the roundabout thing, right?
Right.
And so it's just it is such a shame for something as big and fun and iconic as JoJo to get treated like this. It's just it deserves better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Netflix. All right. Let's move along to our regularly scheduled anime, and we'll talk about Spy Family. I guess this really is the season for hot, problematic women that could murder you instantly. We are introduced to Fiona Frost.
Agent
introducing the home wrecker has arrived.
Yeah, aka Nightfall, Lloyd's Kohai, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's madly in love with him, and throwing a wrench into the happy family format we've had so far.
I do need to ask for the non-manga readers here. Were any of you taken in for even a second that before they do the thing where she's like, "Oh, I love you so much, Twilight." Did you think at all before that?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, it like. I think she was in the background or showed up for a bit in when Anya's getting the tour of the hospital.
But like, did you think it would go that direction at all?
I think what Eero's asking is, how did the reveal hit when Anya mind read Fiona for the first time?
Oh, I wasn't surprised.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
not really.
No. Got it.
All right, because I was curious about that, because yes, like she's initially introduced very much as more the like driven career woman who's here to supplant Lloyd as like Wise's premier spy, right? But then you get the contrast of the moment Anya first reads her mind and she's like, "I love you, Lloyd." It's like...
Okay, so I'll admit, I think what might have tipped me off is which is funny because it ended up not being what I was thinking in a roundabout way, but the episode titles are Nightfall / Fit of Jealousy.
Sure.
And when I saw Fit of Jealousy, like my brain automatically started connecting the dots to like that, which was funny because I think that segment was actually about Bond being jealous of the Penguin, but that's, I think that might have set my brain into that general direction.
Fair enough.
But
yeah, I guess you could look at this as like, now that Spy Family has been like airing for a while, like now it's time to introduce more characters to the ensemble.
Right. She's sort of like the parallel to Yora's brother at this point, right?
Kind of,
yeah.
Just,
wanting to break the family up.
Well, I mean, again, I am jokingly calling her the home wrecker, but like Yuri, she is just as much a pretender to the throne. Like,
yes, obviously.
Let's be real. There is nothing assailing the rock solid foundation of the Yor, Lloyd, Anya units. So.
Of course. Oddly enough, this leads to a underground tennis tournament.
As you do, yes. I mean, look, we don't have enough characters to have a baseball episode, so tennis is the closest we can do.
I mean, we've had I'll kill you in golf, and now we have I'll kill you in tennis.
Yes.
What other boring sport can we rehabilitate here? I don't know, but as someone that actually likes tennis, but yes. Yeah, so she ends up going with Lloyd into this underground tournament. I'll shout out my one favorite joke is when they fight the muscle guys, and he's like, "Oh, are you a little baby that pissed your pants? Maybe you should just change your diaper." And she's just like, "You have no idea who you're talking to." Like, I would definitely do that. That was a very good. Look, that was a very good joke. But
Fiona's got it bad, all right. Like,
yeah. Oddly enough, I was not expecting that to be a two-parter, so I guess we'll find out what happens next time.
Like as Eero and I, as readers of the manga, know, this is actually a weirdly long stretch of chapters in the manga. Like, there was once upon before a later arc became the new Namek of Spy Family. This was colloquially known by fans as Tennis Namek.
Wow, that long. Are we going more than one more episode on this?
Well, no. I mean, all right. You got to keep in mind, but in the context of an, yes, in the context of an episodic like story like Spy Family, anything longer than 3 chapters has you going, "Oh, this is going on for a while, isn't it?"
Yeah.
And we're in the stretch of the anime where we're getting 2 to 3 segments per episode, right? So like, going a full episode, almost a full episode's worth of content might as well be, several seasons of Dragon Ball. But it's still a lot of fun. The bit with Bond and the Penguin was very adorable, as always.
Yeah. I suppose there's only a couple episodes left
in this season.
2, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. If I had to guess, yeah.
Yeah. Do you reckon they'll do another season?
Absolutely.
I think so. The question is when, though. Are they going to take a 6-month break, a year-long break? I think that's kind of the real question of. Yeah, because obviously Spy Family is doing very well, both the anime and the manga, but also Studio Wit is the.
Right.
I guess Studio Wit is not necessarily. They're not Bones. They're not the type of studio to just like we're committing to this show for the long haul, right? I mean
right. We will not be
they
getting
dropped Attack on Titan,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
like they don't feel the need to like say we're committing to this show for the next 6 years, right? So
Mhm.
I am a little curious how soon after this ends is Studio Wit going to jump right back into doing more.
Yeah, I mean they only took like one season break basically for this one, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, other than Chainsaw Man, it's the most popular thing going probably right now, right? So,
Yeah, the
anime
reminder
wise,
that like in the West, Shonen Jump still has a like stranglehold on what people think of as anime to an
Right.
extent.
yeah. So,
Yeah, because it feels. I'm really sorry, but I have a criticism for Spy Family.
Oh, by all means.
I'll go for it.
And that is, it feels like it's. I mean, I've not read the manga. It's probably similar, but it feels like they're just sort of giving us an overview of like all these different characters, and I'm concerned that we're getting near the end of the series. There's not going to be any real notable arc apart
Right.
from, I guess, maybe the tennis bit.
yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
with you on that, and I've said in past episodes how like even when season 2 started, I was like, this is not at the top of my priority list because it's like I feel like I know we're not going anywhere,
Yeah.
right? Like
It's a very predictable, comfortable ride, right?
Yes.
Like it's
and even
like, there's
even
just-
now, it's not like the first thing I want to watch every week. It's nice, I like
Yeah.
it a lot, but yeah, it does feel like for me personally, it's lacking something to put it like if what like we were talking earlier. If we're going to start having anime of the year discussions, it's like I don't think I would put it in that discussion because like I don't know, it's just kind of very
so the
lacking
thing I would
in
say-
anything substantial, I guess. But yeah. Go ahead, G.
The thing I would say about Spy Family is that it is not that it isn't capable of having more involved, focused story arcs, but maybe it's just like the nature of how anime is paced and released, is that Spy Family does start doing this stuff, but it doesn't start doing it until a little bit after where this anime is going to end, I guess, is how I'd put it. Like,
Right.
I know that's not the most satisfying answer of like, just wait for more, I promise.
Right.
Just wait till we get to
And I
episode
mean,
26.
honestly, even as the manga started doing more of that stuff, like there's still on top of a foundation of here are the mostly
Right.
inconsequential sketch comedy chapters.
Yeah.
So I've
So-
just
so, yeah, I guess-
realized
Yes.
it's Full Metal Panic.
You're talking to the FMP guy here, and you know what?
Oh,
Shit, I
man.
think you got a point, Peter.
That might be accurate, yeah.
Yeah,
Are we gonna-
like,
Are we beginning of
Here's
season
mostly-
3 in 15 years?
Oh my
yeah,
god.
right. Here's your slice of life comedy, and then here is your occasional insane hand drawn Sakuga spectacle to sort of capstone
Mhm.
the season.
And it never ends.
Yes, huh?
And then they'll
I
have
hadn't
a
thought of that
spin-off
comparison
series.
until now. That's pretty good. But yeah, I guess that's the thing, right? Is like the only difference, I guess, is that like more involved arcs are coming, but you know, unfortunately, due to how anime is produced, you'll probably see it in about 6 to 18 months.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's fun in the meantime, so, you know.
It
Still
is what it
enjoying
is. It's pretty safe. You know.
Yeah, I'm still going to watch it each week, so yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of doing the same thing over again, let's sorry. I'm being reductive here, but let's talk about Mob Psycho 100.
Oh man,
haven't re-
though. I don't know.
man.
Okay, so I'm still behind on this, so you
Oh,
guys
wow.
just have at it at this
Oh,
What
point.
no.
the you didn't the alien arc was really good. Wow.
Okay.
What a great episode.
Yeah, holy shit.
What an incredible episode.
Yeah, I I don't even I'm trying to think back to my feelings at the time of watching the Alien episode of Mob Psycho 100, and
Right.
I am just at a loss for words at like both the subject matter, its execution, and just the insane level of artistry
Right.
Bones decided to bring to the table for what is essentially
People
a
camping
bit
in the woods. Also,
yes.
yeah. Like they got the guy who did that episode from season 2 that was just a complete
Yeah.
an utter blowout for 20 minutes. If you remember that episode, Jel.
In the middle of season 2 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got that guy to do a episode that's mostly the characters hiking and talking
and hanging out, just doing regular shit.
So it's
And
just
so
absurdly well animated people talking. Or
yeah,
something.
and so it's
that's great.
There's a shot of Reagan taking off his shirt, and it's
So it's like Chainsaw Man.
it's 600 frames on its own. It's kind of insane. It's what if this insanely talented director utilized all of his skill to just do the
Right.
most mundane, banal
The difference
actions?
from Chainsaw Man is that Mob Psycho, the tone of Mob Psycho, and particularly the tone of that sort of mini arc, is one where highlighting the mundanity of their actions.
Yes, I'm being
meaning.
facetious,
Yeah,
of course, but yes.
Yeah, it's a really good episode. Tomei's animations in that episode are very cute.
Mm-hmm.
And the last 5 minutes of that episode is the fucking might actually legitimately be one of the craziest fucking things Bones has ever done. It's
Yeah.
it's a space dandy bit or something.
Yeah, some real I can't believe they're doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question. This is the final season. The manga's over,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are they actually building to some kind of conclusion?
So
Or-
that is the most recent episode. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
The most recent episode that we just got to, we can describe the premise because I don't think that's
Sure.
too much of a
Yeah.
spoiler. Is basically that shit, I can't remember her name.
Tsubomi-chan.
Tsubomi-chan, right? The girl that Mob has a crush on,
Yes.
has announced that she is moving away and will not be coming back to school for their third year of middle school.
Classic.
And so that means Mob has 1 month to confess to Tsubomi-chan and win her affections. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a really good episode as well, because the thing that's really great about this episode is that it is a great presentation of how far Mob has come since season 1.
Mm-hmm.
The premise of the first episode of this arc, which is all that we've seen, is that Mob basically goes to all the people he's met over the last 2 seasons, basically, and go
How do I talk to girl?
I don't know, man. How do I talk to a girl? Yeah, how do I talk to girls?
Yeah.
And the Body Improvement Club chimes in. Tomei and the rest of the UFO club give their support.
Mhm.
Everybody kind of has their own. Reagan gives his advice that he is hastily reading off of Google search on his phone. It's very good. It's very sweet because it's regardless of who these characters are, morally or character wise, their intentions are genuine. They genuinely want to give Mob the best advice that they are personally capable of giving, to help him out, right? And it's a very sweet episode that kind of shows that, in a lot of ways, right, if Mob's greatest power is his actual psychic powers, his second greatest power are the friends he's made along the way.
Of course.
Naturally.
There's a fantastic bit that I didn't realize until I checked back in season 1. So, Iro, do you remember that bit where Mob is in the soccer field and he does the chest bump, he catches the ball and he does a competent soccer pass?
Right.
So that
So
is
a specific callback.
That is a specific callback to a scene in season 1, which is the episode that sort of motivates Mob to join the Body Improvement Club, where it's shot from the exact same angle and actually uses the exact same hand-drawn background as from season 1, where Mob fails to catch the soccer ball.
Tries to do that.
Fails the kick, misses the kick, and then cannot even run to keep up with the rest of the team for like more than 2 seconds.
Oh, Mob.
And it is like a shot-for-shot, like, not remake, but like a
shot reference,
reference, yes. And it's like stuff like that,
it's
right?
Come
just
so
like,
far.
Really, yeah, exactly. It's great. It's very sweet. And then something happens in the last 2 minutes that makes you go, oh, okay, now I see where Bones is about to turn up the heat. And we'll leave it at that.
Nice.
But yeah,
believe me, yes, they are building up for a grand finale.
Yes, and even if you're like not necessarily particularly enthused about watching a whole season of Mob Psycho, like episode 7, is it 7 and 8 for the alien stuff?
I just have to get past the first couple episodes of like doing the same thing over and over again, and I'm like,
right.
Once I get past that, I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah, it sounds like it pays off eventually. So
I think so.
I think it does.
I got to get on that. Okay. Well, let's talk about Bocchi the Rock.
Speaking of a show just doing the same thing over and over again, what's with this repetitive mental illness?
Yeah. Well, we did get. They had the one episode with them doing the show where they almost get canceled because of the weather, right?
Right.
And we have they have the very real depiction of people showing up early to a show and
looking at their
seeing
phones.
the opening band and not caring about the opening band at all. It'd be like, looking at their phones or not paying attention or whatever, which, they've already...
Taupey.
Yeah. Go ahead, G.
I really liked how it was portrayed because I think a lesser anime would have gone for like the more cartoonish, like booing, heckling crowd or whatever.
Straight up jeering them.
Like, these audience are just such jerks, when it's like, actually, no, like the worst thing that could happen when you are performing live is to be met with just apathy, right?
Yes,
like,
indifference is the worst, the most painful, yes.
Right, like the girl that just like leaves midway through the performance, it's storming outside. She would rather go outside and stand in the rain than listen to this performance.
Yeah, that's but I mean, I've been to shows and seen that happen where people show up early, they're not there for they have no idea who the opening band is, they're not there for it, and they're wandering off, getting drinks at the bar, doing whatever, not paying attention, and again, this show being very on the nose with those kinds of things, but it was. I liked that episode a lot though too, because it was just like every now and then we need to see Bocchi get a win, right?
Right. I mean, not only that, but I feel like in a lot of ways, Bocchi the Rock has very expertly sort of used its episodes like as, or used the band episodes, the episodes where they actually play music, as sort of like check-in moments, like internalized check-in moments for Bocchi, right?
Right.
Like I feel like she's at
those are like the episodes where her character stuff can sort of coalesce.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think they do a very good job of that. I really actually also love the second half of that episode. Like, the band stuff is just the first half, right? Then we cut to the second half, which is the after party, right? Where you get, like, that, like, part that looks like it's directed by Satoshi Kon, where it's just, like, two middle-aged Japanese men talking about, like, their fucking struggles.
That's right. Oh, my God.
And,
that
like,
was so good.
So his wife, he thinks his wife's cheating on him, and,
and Bocchi just has that, like, existential, just fucking, like,
great,
implosion. Just like,
it sets her. it sets her off back onto the path of my life as a unemployed, whatever later. Yeah,
as an alcoholic neat. Yeah. Oh
Yep.
man, it's or god, the fucking OL Bocchi delusion, right? Just
Yeah.
oh man, but then it all kind of culminates in a very sweet moment, right? Where it's like we get where Nijika, right? She kind of clues in that Bocchi
you
is
are
a
my
guitar hero. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, because after
And,
Bocchi took the show over by remembering that she is indeed youtube.com/guitar hero.
Yes.
Yes, it became clear so that her secret got out, and a rather random title drop, I guess, in there.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think it's yes, it's very much like Bocchi, you are the Rock. You know, it's
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
But I very much did enjoy that moment because, like, I feel like in a lot of ways, right, like Nijika is sort of portrayed as like. I think they do a really good job of, like, in a lot of ways, Kita and Nijika are very similar in terms of, like, they are both, like, the more extroverted, like, positive
Right.
types. But the thing I think that they do a really good job of differentiating them is that, like, in her quieter moments, Nijika sort of is willing to, like, share her, like, her insecurities and her, like, her anxieties about being part of the band. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just, like, and the great thing is that then we get the subsequent episode, you know, the most recent one, where we get an even better way of contrasting Kita from the other three. But, like, even here, you kind of get that, like, you get that vibe that, like, Kita is legitimately that person she presents herself as, whereas
Yes.
Nijika is the one who is making a more, like, concerted effort to try to be that person. Like, she's not putting up a facade, but it's more like it takes effort
Right.
for her to be the person she is. And I
Right.
think that's, like, a really nice character building moment that she shares with Bocchi.
It's good.
Yeah. That second episode
Yes.
where they go
And
on
then
their
we
little
go to
trip.
full shitpost territory.
Right. The
with next
visual,
episode.
the visual gags in this show are
Top.
great.
Yes, chef's
Oh.
kiss.
all along.
Yeah, just fucking God, just the feeling of, like, you've made it to the last week of summer break and you realize you haven't actually hung out with your friends that much because you spent all summer break, like,
Playing
lying
guitar
in your
and
room, doing
watching
like,
watching boring documentaries on your phone,
Yeah.
laying around on the floor with.
Right.
just realizing, and, like, 'cause I think we've probably all had, like, a summer break like that, like, sometime during our high school or middle school years, where you go, shit, I didn't do fucking shit this summer.
Right.
Yeah, it's already, you blink and it's already
Played
time to
video
go back
games
to
all
school.
day for 3
Yeah,
weeks,
oops, I just
right.
played Persona 4 and Dark Souls 1 for the entirety of summer.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, the and their trip to the you know, again, characterizing Kita, where they're like, Kita wants to, like, go walk up the shrine steps and all that, and they're like, yeah, no, everybody's like,
Ain't gonna walk
no,
that.
we're not gonna do that. It's pretty good. I also like how Ryo Senpai, despite supposedly being all cool and everything, is legitimately dumb as a brick.
yes,
Some
very
kind
good.
of disaster person. Right.
Yeah, just that fucking bit where, like, Nichika's shaking her head and, like, Kita's like, no, I can hear her brain rattling inside.
Despite Kita idolizing her, she's as dumb as whatever. But yeah,
So something
that's pretty
about
good.
making the cool aloof one the dumbest one in the group, like, actually works extremely well as a character dynamic.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like all their characters. You know, they even if they appear like to be a certain stereotype or something, they have some kind of twist on them, right? That's part of the
yeah.
fun. So, yeah,
It continues
Still
to be
fun.
good. Just continues
Again,
to be a lot
and-
of fun.
you know, again, the visual gags.
Right.
Maybe the Yamcha bit was a little too much. The dead Yamcha, maybe that was going too far.
Bocchi
I don't know.
Popping like a balloon, I think.
Yes,
Was my favorite one this episode.
I
and
think-
they're carrying her depleted body away right after she pops as a balloon.
right.
It's almost
God,
surreal
just-
at this point.
Like, there's something about that, like, I actually really love. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but something about the Bocchi gags being diegetic.
Right, just slightly diegetic, yeah.
Right, like we're slightly diegetic enough to be acknowledged by the rest of the cast, right? Because obviously there's the version of this where it's like all of these like imaginations are pure delusion in her head.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's funny too, but something about like Nichigo being like, uh-oh, like Bocchi turned into powder, she disintegrated.
Or it's like, oh, Bocchi's in a stupor again, quick, let's go to the beach before she notices.
Right.
We've inhaled the Bocchi dust and now we're dead.
Yeah.
Well,
it's very well done.
I will say it was like I think 3 or 4 episodes ago, so technically not covered by this podcast, but I think even with Pop Team Epic happening, I think the hardest I've laughed this season is them trying to do shirt designs, and Ryo sends in a shirt that just has a photograph
of food she wants to eat,
right? Like just not even cropped, just slapped onto blank.
Slapped on, right? Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, we'll get to it later of what I think is the hardest I've laughed.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, G. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
What I'm getting at is I think the connecting thread is like animators just understanding like that low effort shit posts are actually more funny than like.
They can be,
they can be more funny than like than like something
Yeah.
that's immaculately constructed.
Right. Well, perhaps that is the perfect segue then into us moving on and talking about Pop Team Epic.
Great.
So
they've had a string of winners.
Yeah, right.
You guys got to see the Battle Royale episode now,
well,
right?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, now we've seen 2 Battle Royale segments, and one is even more Apex Legends than the other.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, no, we got to talk about Bumpu's Crusaders, all right?
Man.
Yes.
The fucking,
Yeah.
the fucking delinquent anime, just like these 70s to 80s. Yeah.
Yep, 4:3 ratio.
Yellow subs.
Yellow subs.
I don't know how they nailed the look so perfectly, like of how it's drawn, right?
I am furious about this episode because the Bumpu's Crusaders segment shows you that actually we have the technology to make anime look exactly like that, and we simply choose not to.
Right. We don't do it anymore.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, how are we not just pumping out anime that just looks exactly like this in 2022?
Oh, that was so good.
It was great. Yeah.
They nailed everything you could possibly want out of that. I do want to mention, I kind of love how their extended cast of friends are Eldritch Abominations.
Right.
Which is just Cthulhu.
Cthulhu.
Because this is just
yeah.
This just happens to star. Like anytime they need somebody who's not the main 2 girls, they'll bring in Cthulhu or somebody. Yeah. But they're drawn like super cute, right? And he gets the star in this one. But that was great. Because we had the Battle Royale one, and then that, and then this latest episode, it was more of a mixed bag. I guess there are different things going on.
Well,
but
I think it's more of a return to kind of what we thought of or of like season 1 style Pop Team Epic, right? It's
shorter
a shotgun blast.
Right. Yeah.
Like, here's just 7 bits in a row, and some will hit, some won't, but like enough will to keep it entertaining.
Yeah. As opposed to season 2 is just like we'll have a one highly extended bit every episode, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Have you already covered the AC Boo episode?
Oh man.
Oh, we did. Yes, the live action.
Yeah,
because that.
Yes.
I just want.
Don't worry. We acknowledged that episode exists.
That episode is truly incredible. Start to finish. Yeah.
Did you want to? Peter, did you want to mention something about it, or
it's just art?
Yeah.
Just rolls.
Oh, Hero, you got to help me remember. What's that fucking AC Boo bit from? It's either like this episode or last episode.
The crop circles.
The crop circles one, yes, that just absolutely murdered me.
That's great. Yeah, so the alien draws a crop circle, and they're like,
and it's fucking
you ain't no Banksy. Right, underestimate street art.
Right, just the line "Don't underestimate street art" just is maybe the
Right,
single
and then
funniest
cut
line.
to the alien and it's crying.
Crying.
Yeah, oh, that's a great one.
Oh man, but
I guess they really like Apex Legends and Final Fantasy 14.
They're big over there in Japan.
The Final Fantasy 14 bits went over my head, but for the people that I know that actually play Final Fantasy 14, they loved all that stuff. But
Sure.
right, because I
feel
mean,
like-
I think like they committed really, fully to the bit, right? So like my understanding is like all the audio cues and all the music are just
Right.
pulled directly from.
and
the
it was like
game.
specific things that if like you played the game, you'd know exactly what was happening.
Right.
But if you don't, I was like, I have no idea what's happening. But
I was completely confused by it, I'll be honest.
Like
Yeah.
shout outs to the Apex Legends bit in the latest episode where Papaco performs the like cinematic execution,
Mhm.
yes,
And just keeps
But-
bringing it over. Like,
but yes, cancels it a couple times, which is a no trolling method in Apex Legends.
Yeah, to
where if you
really-
just
yeah.
keep hitting the cancel button, you can just extend how long
yeah.
the person is stuck in the execution animation
Yeah.
for.
I have played enough Apex to get those jokes at least. But yeah, that was very good. But yeah,
Man. Good show.
Overall, they are just-
yeah. It's a great
Anime
jokes.
of the year 2022.
yeah, right.
Congratulations to
Yeah, I-
Papaco and PPV.
We've mentioned this before. I don't know why I'm enjoying season 2 much more than season 1. Is it
Mhm.
really that much different, or if I'm just more in the mood for
So
this kind of stupidity? But
yeah, because I have an uncomfortable theory,
Okay.
okay,
and that is we've all just become more crazy in the last few years. Like our grip on reality is
It's
just
worsened,
slowly
yeah.
unraveling.
this
Yeah,
speaks
you
to
know
us
what?
more now as our
And yes, so our we have opened up enough eyes on the inside
Yes, our insight has increased.
to appreciate jokes like this in a way we couldn't back in the more sane era of like 2014, 15? I don't remember.
Don't say it.
Oh no, it wasn't that long ago, was
No,
it?
it's 2018.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay, 20.
Okay, 20
Okay, pre-pandemic, pre-COVID, which is a different era of time,
That's
right?
that's more what I'm
Yeah.
getting at. Yes.
Yes,
That was a different decade.
2018 feels like it might as well have been 20 years ago at this point.
It might as well feel like it was 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it all feels the same at this point. So yeah,
I saw somebody. This is only related to time. I saw somebody mention Grimgar the other day and
God.
described it as a 1 to 2 years ago. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that was 2016.
Jesus.
Anyway,
shout out
Yes.
to Grimgar. Anyway, Pop Team Epic is fun.
yeah, Pop Team Epic.
All right, let's talk about Chainsaw Man.
The most anticipated anime of all time. ANN, according to ANN, one
All
of the
right.
best episodes of anime ever produced, if not the best episode of anime ever
All right,
produced.
so these 2 episodes, like I'm just gonna say stuff now at this point. These two episodes felt to me like there was maybe like 10 minutes of actual content. It's spread across 2 episodes. Again, looks great, extremely well animated in spots and everything, and just like they finally got out of the
Infinity Hotel.
Infinity Hotel, which I feel like they should have done by the previous episode. And then what they had their after party
Yeah, they had the
thing,
party. And
which
Denji
that was
gets
actually
his first kiss.
yeah,
that part was actually kind of fun.
Himeno.
I'll admit that, with Himeno throwing up in Denji's mouth.
Himeno is a nightmare person. She's the best waifu in Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
all right.
That they have a very strong waifu game. I'll give them that. There's something for everybody here, I guess. But yeah, and then the latest episode, I guess they're setting up the next. Well,
What seems like it'll be the climactic arc of the anime. If you ask
Yeah.
me.
In a lot of ways,
And
episode 8 is sort of the like. I mean, this is the classic shonen progression, right? Episode 8 sort of is the okay, no more one-offs. Now it's time to introduce the like,
right.
the Akatsuki
been
or
about-
the
Yeah.
I
you
do
know,
want
the-
to. Yeah, it is sort of escalating. I do want to get, before we get into that, I do want to get my one rant off about the beginning of the latest episode.
Yeah. I think
Where-
we share some feelings on this one.
So, in the end of, so what the latest one was 8? Was that the latest episode?
yes.
I think so.
Okay, so at the end of episode 7, it ends with Himeno dragging Denji into bed or something, right?
Yes.
And episode 8 kind of rewinds the clock by like
a good
30 minutes or something,
Yeah.
an hour. And, we get, again,
We get a good 4 to 5 minutes.
yeah, so again, it's a very, like, extraordinarily well animated sequence of Himeno dragging Denji and like just doing mundane, going to take a shower or whatever stuff around the apartment.
I mean,
Mhm.
stumbling in the way that drunk people do, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Of like you sort of tilt your momentum in the direction you want to move in,
Yes.
and you just hope
Bump
to
into
like
walls.
be right into the wall, right into the wall closest to your actual destination. And
It looks great. I just don't feel like it was contributing much, because then
it
they
didn't need to
follow
take
up.
that long. It really like you
They
could
follow it up with a literal just replaying the last like 2 or 3 minutes of the previous episode. So by the time they do that and then play the OP, we're 6 minutes into the episode before anything new happens.
right.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's just like the problem that Chainsaw Man, the anime, I will keep saying,
Yes.
runs into is like I feel like the show really like I don't know, like is it just too in love with itself or something? Like the way it just like lingers on shots way longer than it needs to. And like, look, maybe people are listening to this and be like, "Oh, those GLORIO guys, they just got no patience for good cinema." And it's like, excuse you,
Saint
like
Cinema.
right, like, we haven't. Our favorite show is about a bunch of dudes standing on a spaceship talking to each other for whole episodes.
so that's the kind of the next point I want to get to, because it's like, it's not just that it's slow, because I like that kind of thing in the right context. Like, what did we say just even earlier about one of the other shows? Like, that's fine.
Mob, right?
Yeah.
In mobs, so like that's fine, like in the right context. I just don't feel like it's doing this show any justice to do that in the moments that they're picking to do it. And then like when we do get to, so a lot of stuff does happen after that very quickly.
Yeah.
And like when we get to the big climax where Himeno theoretically, I guess, spoiler alert, folks, when we get to the big climax, when Himeno theoretically dies, it's like, I don't feel like they've handled the parts kind of characterizing with the flashbacks, Himeno and Aki's relationship and all that.
Mm-hmm.
They've handled it well, but I don't feel like there's been enough of it for me to like really care at this point. Like I didn't feel that invested in what was happening. That, and I also feel like death is probably very cheap in the Chainsaw Man universe, but I guess we'll see on that. But
Well, because on some
literally
level,
every single character gets shot or stabbed or something, right? Like,
right,
so like
the
obviously
the escalation is right.
Right.
It's like it's multiple like cells of like terrorists, I guess, like performing assassinations of myriad like devil hunters.
But I've seen
including
people.
Makima, so
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people. Yeah, like even Makima gets shot, right? So like I've seen people like describing this as like emotionally powerful, whatever. And I'm like, I'm not into it. I'm sorry. Like, and
so this is one of those difficult things of like.
I know,
okay,
G, I know it's hard for you because like you can't unread the manga, right? Like you have that like context. So
because like that's the thing, right? It's like I think that like Himeno's death actually does hit pretty hard in the manga, but it's also because like
in the manga, just because of how chapters are paced, she would have been around for like 2 months. Well,
not only that, but also, like, I mean, in a lot of ways, the reason Himeno's death hits hard in the manga is actually because of the inherent, like, kind of more brisk pacing of how manga chapters are read, right?
Right.
So, like, in a lot of ways, like, Himeno, like, goes out in, like, a single chapter, right? Like she's... I mean, not that she's introduced and killed in the same chapter. I mean, she is around for a few chapters. She is set up as sort of the, like, older sister type of the crew. And then, like, as soon as you get to know her, she's gone. And, like, it hits pretty hard in the context of reading a manga and Weekly Shonen Jump, where we are used to characters, like, being around for a very long time.
Right.
We are used to characters being pushed to the brink of death, but, like, just barely surviving.
Right.
And that when a character does finally die in a shonen manga, it's a very drawn-out affair, right? Like, if you think about any, like, the notable big deaths in shonen, like, they're usually very grand affairs, right? Whereas, like, Himeno just gets shot, and then as she's bleeding out, decides to bet it all on one last gambit that, like, sadly doesn't even work, right? Like, the thing that makes her death hit hard is sort of the immediate, like, stark banality of it in a lot of ways. And, like, especially compared to how overblown character deaths and how overblown and, you know, dramatic that character deaths tend to be in shonen. The issue, I think, with what the anime has done, right, is, like, it's almost trying too hard to convince you this is a big moment.
I was going to say, like, right? you can't get that banality with how this anime is presented.
Right.
Or, like, they tried to do it with these long sequences, like the beginning of the episode, but then, like, but it's so produced that it doesn't feel banal, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, because in a lot of ways, right, it's like the way Himeno dies is almost the equivalent of, like, a World War II movie where a character just gets sniped, right? And, like, they're just dead instantly. Like, I mean, again, in grading on a curve here, right? In the context of how shonen character deaths are usually handled. But the anime decides to make it such a luxurious, grand event, right? Like this is Himeno's last stand. That, I don't know, it kind of just loses the suddenness of, like, you know, the way a character might die getting shot in the head from 100 yards away or being hit by a car, right? Like, it doesn't have that, like, surprising impact anymore because it's drawn out enough that you see it coming, you know, the moment Himeno says, "I'll give you everything," right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like they're hitting the gas or pumping the brakes at the wrong time with the show sometimes. But yeah, it's and you know, I can't deny it looks great. I mean, like, I can. I think we should. I think we should specify the difference between me not liking this show versus me not liking some other shows where, you know, there are other shows where they're just outright bad and I don't think you should watch them. With Chainsaw Man, it's like, this is not a show that I would not tell people to watch. Like, I can understand why a lot of people love it. I think a lot of the problems we have with it are opinions based on us probably watching way too much anime over the past.
We've been doing this for literally a decade, and
so I'm willing to acknowledge that, but I'm also going to stand behind, you know, my opinions on things that I think that they could be doing much better with it. So
we have our personal taste that we have molded for ourselves over.
Yeah. I just want to be clear, this is different than other shows that I might say, don't watch this, it's garbage.
Right.
You know, it's bad for whatever reason. Like, there I can understand why people would like Chainsaw Man, and there's no, like, moral reasons or anything why I would say don't watch it. Just it's just not doing it for me in the way that I feel like it should be doing it for me.
No, totally understandable. I mean, I think we talk about, like, the directing choices of this anime that have hounded it since episode 1, that have defined its aesthetic, you know?
Yeah.
In fact, I want to point out that the Sakuga blog did an interview with the staff that's working on the Bocchi the Rock anime. And in fact, there's a very choice quote from it that I wouldn't say is them taking shots at Chainsaw Man. I'm not implying that. But it's very interesting that a quote like this would come out this season. They interviewed the character designer and chief animation director, Carol Rira, and they basically asked, like, what was the mindset you had for approaching the character designs for Bocchi the Rock? And, you know, I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically says that, like, it was very important to keep the designs, you know, anime-like to avoid making them too realistic. Here, the quote is, I made sure the designs weren't too 3D and felt uncanny in their direction. I wanted to depict anime-like designs that aren't possible in reality. I felt it was more important to create character designs that look appealing at first sight than those that conform to reality. And it's like...
Right, and then Chainsaw Man director was saying, like, I wanted to avoid anime-like things and make it look more like reality.
Right, and then blamed it on 2000s moe anime. But yeah, it's like the exact opposite, right? Of
right.
But that's
is
the thing,
Chainsaw
like,
Man director seeing Bocchi the Rock and going like, "This is trash, Akiba Moe."
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't want to be that.
No, of course not.
and it's like, and again, it's like, and this is probably just, this is a preference thing, I suppose. But I want anime that's taking advantage of the medium. I've say it all the time.
Yes.
Like, if I want to watch a movie, I'll watch a movie.
For God's sake, this is a story about a man who turns into chainsaws.
Chainsaw Man, the man made of chainsaws.
Maybe it should be a little anime-like.
Yeah, I mean, this show is ripe for silly anime faces. But and even if you don't go that far, it's just like, you know, I don't know. Realism in animation is not that important to me. So it's just funny. That's a funny interview, but like a dead on, like perfect
this
example
is like
of what we're talking about.
I mean, this is sort of the thing of in genre fiction in particular, you don't want realism in the sense that things are literally imitating reality. You want realism in the sense of it is evoking like how people actually act and such, you know?
Right.
Because of course it's ridiculous that Denji pulls a cord his chest and turns into chainsaws and stuff, but like,
I mean, ironically, Bocchi the Rock is way more realistic than Chainsaw Man.
Right, exactly, because like, even though the ways she reacts are like visually and presented as comically overblown, the emotions it evokes are very real, you know?
Yes. So it's a interesting comparison this season between
and
the
that's
two.
Why like it's even with like Chainsaw Man, like we praise how like, yes, Himeno crashing into walls is like is the thing we praise about that sequence, and not that it takes 4 minutes, right? Like that bit is a thing that could have been 3-5 seconds,
right,
and evoked what it needed to.
Yep. Well, I don't want to keep going in circles on Chainsaw Man.
Yes.
We've said it all, and just again trying to clarify further as we move along here. But
well, let's talk about the realest show there is.
Oh my god!
All right, so let's get to Akiba Maid War. I want to say last episode I mentioned I like when the show is 110% deadly serious and not doing silly stuff, but I will make one exception for a baseball episode.
Dude, this baseball episode
really
might
good.
actually be one of the most deranged baseball episodes I've seen in a bit.
I watched this 2 hours ago. catch up.
Still fresh in your mind.
Like, so yeah, the premise is basically now that the space the Maid Alien Cafe has been absorbed by the Creatureland group. We're gonna have a nice friendly baseball game to quash the beef.
And
I
love baseball.
We have to mention this gets set up by like the head of the Creatureland group coming into what's her name's funeral.
Maname's funeral, yeah.
Yeah, Maname's funeral, and she has her red baseball bat like on the the thing.
Right. Like you put a samurai's blade.
Right. And so she walks in and like, picks up the bat and she's like, we will settle our differences with this. Like, it's very good.
But more importantly is that manager shows up as well and gives the most hilariously shit-eating half-assed apology.
Reading off of her script.
He's reading from a script. It's like, oh yeah, must really suck to lose that person, I guess.
She's the worst human being on the planet. It's great.
Also, importantly, the maid aliens have become the axolotls.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yes, and the thing I love about this baseball episode is that the first half of it is broadly, I would say, in line with what I expect out of an anime baseball episode. There's a lot of cheating, people are getting beaten up.
Yes.
And then the second half happens where it goes from funny to deranged in a way that is truly really just like
they murder two people and then Weekend at Bernie's them to keep the game going.
Just pumping their corpses around. Because the whole bit of the thing is that Nagumi, being Nagumi, truly wants to play a fair game of baseball, in spite of the fact that people are getting beamed and hit with bats and punched in the face as they slide home. Yeah. And Nagumi's like, no, we gotta play clean baseball. And her attitude eventually wins everybody over to the point where even though the axolotls are about to lose because two of their members have been murdered, the rest of the axolotls are like, no, they're still alive, see? And just shaking their corpses around. They're just tired. We can still play.
That felt right out of Dorohedoro's baseball episode.
And the fucking hard cut to that, the main mate's just fucking blood-drained dead corpse face.
Yes.
Maybe the hardest I've laughed in a little
really
bit.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Just...
So we brought these Venezuelans in.
Oh yeah, also we brought in some Venezuelans because we don't even have enough members of our maid to play a full game of baseball.
Go ahead, Peter.
There's the bit where the red baseball bat that Manami had. One of the axolotls has a really passionate monologue about Manami meaning so much to her, and she's gonna pay back for killing her, and then the bat explodes because it's just cheap whatever
prop. It just breaks on first bat.
Right, that's right. Yeah, it's very good.
Shit.
I've
actually seen today's episode as well, so I'm not going to spoil that for you.
We've watched it.
The one where they climb the thing.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is that it's Akiba Maid War.
Yeah. Again, I love the joke this show continues to have of hiring some of the highest profile voice actresses to do 3 lines.
Yeah.
They got Rie Kugamiya to voice the OG maid from the Meiji period.
Who appears for 20 seconds.
Yes, it has 3 lines, Moi Moi Kyun, and then just exits stage left.
Also, this obviously this show has always been not quite rooted in reality, but just going full on. Maid cafes originated in the early 1900s during the Taisho period.
And they were still both being maids and murdering people, right?
What was it? That's just she won over the people. She won over the people with her moe and violence.
Yeah, right. That's just the way it's always been, right?
Man.
It's very good. The second episode, I guess, is pushing toward my theory that we're gonna end in the present day with maids now, just as we know them, non-violent, as Nagumi's pushing toward her dream now that
Rising
she's
to the top.
Now that she's the head of all the maids, I guess, whatever that is.
I forget what the term is. Yes, just the number one maid.
The number one maid, because she actually did kind of cheat her way to the top.
But it is clearly implied that the one deep voiced dude who buys the pig feet is Panda, right?
You think so? You think that's what's being implied by that scene with the?
Because he buys the stuff, and then like we show the panda just
suit, yeah,
limp in the corner.
Right.
Ah.
That does feel like what they were implying. I feel like they're never going to explicitly tell us that.
No,
though.
of course.
I almost want that to be a red herring, and that's just a dude who's really into Ronco.
Right. I mean, I would be okay with that too. Right.
Like it's just like, no, he was just some random dude voiced by, what is it, Junichi Sawabe or something?
Yeah.
You know, just he's really into, this 36-year-old maid.
So am I.
But,
same, bro, same. But
yes, same. Speaking of shout outs to the head lion maid. Who does the Moe Gao?
Right?
What was that, Peter?
She was voiced by Hikasa Yoko, wasn't it?
Yeah, she is voiced by one Anna Fugo.
Oh
yes.
Man, Anna Fugo is out in full force.
I love how we stand Yoko Hikasa for Anna Fugo, which is like probably her least well-known role.
Yeah. Also, just like that whole sequence where they're like climbing the thing and like fighting was weirdly well animated.
The show. I mean, I've seen people like joke, man, Akiba Maid War has better fights than Chainsaw Man, and there's a part of me that's like, might not be wrong occasionally.
Yeah, I mean. PA Works is one of the better studios out there but
I will say,
yes,
to bring up PA Works, man, I'm just glad that PA Works is doing a good comedy this time. Compared to Appare Ranman, like
and I'm glad they have not backed off of they haven't pulled their punches on this one.
Yes.
I feel like this could have easily, and we probably even said this when it first came out, this could have easily turned into a PA Works working women show.
Right.
But
I mean, they
have not
noticed.
Go ahead, G.
I was gonna say people have already noticed this show has at least one murder per week.
At least,
At least one person has died in every episode of Akiba Maid War.
I'm actually trying to think if there have been any where only one person died, but
this week technically, I think only the otaku guy gets fucking gunned down at the end of the episode.
That's really good. Also, that's escalation because he's been the liaison, right? It's like, they don't want to piss him off.
That's telling you that head mate's not fucking around anymore.
Yeah.
One more thing I'll shout out is the extremely good visual gags with the manager when she's fishing. When she goes off to and the fish just starts talking to her, and then
you've always been a fuck up.
Yeah, Peter.
Right. I have to give
Peter,
one shout out because I don't even know if it's that good of a joke, but it just fucking killed me because of just the weird diegetic in-universe logic of Akiba Maid War, where Nagumi's about to climb the statue. And the one bear-themed maid is if you come down, I'll give you a fish.
Yeah.
It's even here, in this moment, you still gotta be in character.
Never break character. Peter, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention a goof that happened, I think, in an early episode. Because the panda mascot is named Okachimachi. And there is a throwaway line that the manager says, when the panda does something good, I think brings home the money from somewhere, and she's like, "Oh, eventually you'll even become Ueno," and I'm just as a big old trainer, is ranking of a panda based on the Yamanote line, and I'm like, okay,
it's a Yamanote line, the highly noted train station line, right?
Right.
Isn't that the series of train stations Readout in Metal Gear Solid 2?
I would believe it.
What's that? Sorry.
There's that bit in Metal Gear Solid 2 where Readout all the train stations. Isn't that also the Yamanote line?
in Metal Gear. You said
Yeah,
Metal Gear Solid 2.
Well,
Oh,
right.
yeah, I've not played Metal Gear, so
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I could believe it though.
Yes.
But yeah, like there's Akihabara, then Okachimachi, then Ueno. So it's like,
They're
This
even
is
working in train
highly
jokes.
specific regional reference, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Well, that show
Nobody else
continues
will
to be...
care about that. It's fine.
Yeah.
I just like that.
No, but
No,
but
it's-
but somebody will care, Peter, and now they know that they've been seen. So it's
and when Panda takes off their mask at the end, I'm sure we'll look back and be like, it was foreshadowed all along.
All along. Yeah.
yeah. I kind of hope they just never.
I mean,
Tell
yes,
us.
yes.
But yeah, we'll see.
The secret of Panda must be kept hidden.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's end this by talking about
Oh boy.
Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury, which we actually have 3 episodes to talk about because we did
Oh my.
not
Oh my.
cover any
Wait, did
episodes
we have
last
3?
time. Yeah, last time we recorded early, so we didn't get to
Right.
the Shall We Gundam episode.
Oh my god, we didn't even do Shall We? Oh my god, yeah,
So-
wow. All right.
So apparently, in space capitalism, the school dance just turns into Shark Tank, right? And that's,
Yes.
Uh-huh.
that's
Complete with like insane reality TV show or game show style stage gimmicks.
yeah, and Miorine saved her money by growing tomatoes at home, and now she's a company owner at 16, right?
Uh-huh.
Nothing to do with her dad, and
No, yes. You write the article about how Miorine founded her startup company, and ignore the convenient sentence at the end of the 3rd paragraph that says, after receiving a seed investment from her father, the head of the Benerit Group.
Yup.
yeah,
But
Literally,
no,
yes. I mean, yeah.
Yes, but man, I forgot we didn't even talk about Shall We Gundam. But I legitimately love that episode because it is Gundam at its most melodramatic, right? Like
Mhm.
it's
oh yeah, god, when they bring Soletta on stage and they start interrogating her, and like the platforms start moving up for no reason,
rising out of the sky,
just to make it more dramatic.
And real Elan is like playing up his surprise at the Gundam. Like he's like, "My God, it's a Gundam!"
Who could have seen this
just-
coming?
Fucking Lady Prospera really pulling the mother-in-law gambit on Miorine.
Mhm.
Like,
Yes, yeah.
just
God, I
playing
What a
some real mind games here.
yeah. What a great like villain character, I guess.
Shady
I-
character. I don't know.
I think yes. At bare minimum, Lady Prospera is shady.
Yeah.
Especially considering recent reveals, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, really fun, very over the top episode that kind of culminates in Miorine founds her own company that will be dedicated to the selling
Gundam.
and marketing of gun tech as a safe alternative to what the Benerit Group has been doing.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then from there, we're kind of setting up the rocky beginnings of the company as
right. Yes. Episode what is it? 8, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah.
where they have to. They've started a new company, and everyone in Earth House has been roped in to this
Right, yes.
scheme, and
it feels like a very good understanding of like how a startup actually starts up, because we've got all this seed funding. Now we need to actually figure out what we're selling.
right, exactly. Yep. And
these
like-
tech bro assholes.
And I do like it, right? Because it actually does a really good job of sort of like, for as much as people complain about, oh, it's Gundam, but it's in school and it's all these kids and it's not real Gundam, we have an extended bit in this episode of these children having a very real conversation of what is a Gundam. A Gundam is a war machine. It is inherently a tool designed to kill people.
Right. And like
Right.
And
some of these kids
we
are
sell
like war
that-
refugees, and
yeah,
Yes,
and they
if we-
don't want to be part of that, right? And
Right,
that's
they don't want to be arms dealers, but also this is the technology that they have built their company or, their new
Yeah.
company around. So how do we market it? How do we actually sell this in a way that doesn't just contribute to the military-industrial complex that has already dominated, the setting of G-Witch?
right. And it's like you have characters who are like, we can't do that, and you have other characters who are like, I don't give a shit.
And then you have
Right.
Choo Choo's like, what if we only sell our guns to Earthians? What if we become arms dealers, but we become
For one side only.
ethnocentralist arms dealers?
Gotta love Choo Choo.
Christ.
No, it's very interesting because I'm going to be curious because ultimately the decision they arrive is that they don't want to. They're going to return to its supposed original purpose, which is for medical purposes, right?
Right.
Yeah, transhumanism.
I'm going to be curious to see if that ends up being depicted as like the hopeful correct decision or childish naiveness or naive like is that like what are they going to be saying with that per se? But
Right.
you know, their decision of course is challenged where with series of events that leads to them of course having to have another duel because we haven't had one in a while.
All right, but we got to
And
look. Believe me,
Okay.
I want to talk about the duel. I really like episode 9. I have a lot of things to say about the duel. But
Okay.
we need to talk about the
Kids
most
love.
important.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the most
yes.
important thing.
Yes. Oh god. Yes. The most
The
important part.
commercial.
Yes. So as they're right, they're trying to build up their startup or
Edit,
whatever.
like commercial for
Miorine
their
tells them to make
company,
make a commercial, right? And
Yeah.
they basically make this horrible low budget like
It's a student film.
student
Dance
film because
video,
none of
like-
them know how to do this.
It
And
is.
God,
It's great.
the-
It's hilarious.
It is like I saw people online saying, "Wow, that segment of Gundam looked really bad. What's going on at the studio?" And it's like
No, that was the point.
I weep for the people who cannot figure out that this was maybe the best intentionally bad made thing since Pop
They
Team
thought out
Epic.
every detail on this. You've
Right,
got
like you have the green. Yeah, so yeah, the long and short of it is yes, they make a commercial to advertise their new corporation, and it involves Suletta and the Ariel dancing in a field. But
Mhm.
it's all like horribly green screened. The editing is off, right? Like it cuts
Yeah.
the wrong place.
So
Um,
you've got like the bad masking where you see the little bits
the green
of
screen,
green
yeah.
screen poking through.
Yes.
The
like-
greatest, we got to talk about the goat G, right? Like the
Yeah,
greatest
the
part
goat.
is so I don't even know how to explain this in audio, but like you've got the kind of the Gundam image and Suletta's image kind of masked on top of each other.
Yeah,
And in the Gundam shot, there's a tiny little goat you see walking across the bottom of the screen.
Because it was in the background when, like, Suletta...
They filmed.
it was
Yeah,
on the green
and
screen.
I'm just thinking, oh god, is the goat gonna disappear through
Off
the
green
mask
screen. Yeah.
off
Yeah.
the screen? It's gonna do it, and then he does it. And I just
it
lost it.
totally does.
Well, it's such, if we want to talk about Peter bringing up jokes that nobody's gonna care about, I feel like that was like a very specific
Yeah.
thing that
Okay.
only a couple.
Okay.
Yeah, there was another thing that you said that was something I would have never noticed.
Yeah, the arm, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
so
the
for me,
arm,
thing
yep.
that absolutely
Yep.
killed me, right, is that they're doing this thing where they're dancing, and Suletta's
Uh-huh.
like, it can fly, it can dance, it's Gundam. And meanwhile, the Ariel is doing these poses in the
Yeah.
back, and it does a, like, fusion dance, like,
Mhm.
like,
Answer
like,
me,
it's,
Dumbo. Arm into
yeah,
arm.
yeah. Like it's bending over to the side, except the Gundam isn't actually capable of that articulation. So they have to edit the arm and like blow it up to 200% scale and stretch it over to meet Suletta's outstretched hand.
Yeah,
Perfect. Excellent.
it's so
It's
good.
just-
That episode is
and-
such. Okay, go ahead. G.
There's also the bit at the end, right, where they're doing the voiceover for like Gundam Tech, and you can hear the goat bleeding in the background.
Yes,
of the audio.
Oh my goodness.
It's,
that's so.
Suletta's
So good.
increasingly deranged expression.
right, her expression, because clearly they have done this shot like 100 times in a single day,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
She's
she's
very
so
good.
tired.
Perfect.
I think it's just a great example of how the show balances being like a serious show talking about capitalism and transhumanism, and then also memes.
Yeah.
Like it's such a good balance of just like that, and then just like silly things like this happening, and then they know exactly what they're doing. They know this was going to blow up on the internet, right?
Right.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
Posing
just,
like photos of like storefronts in real life, posing them to match
Yes.
it and stuff, right?
Is this the Gundam we need in 2022?
I mean, in a lot of ways, I think this is actually like, this is the thing that, in the best case scenarios, this is what Gundam is good at, is reinventing itself for the new like time period it airs in, right? Like,
right.
Because at the
like that joke
core,
wouldn't mean anything 20 years ago, right?
No, like you can only make something look intentionally bad like this in 2022. Because the thing I was getting at is that as far back as the original Mobile Suit Gundam, one of the core things about Gundam is that it is stories about children in wartime. And so the characters often behave like young people. And I love this commercial because this commercial was clearly made by children.
Yes.
Right. It's how, right.
And it just shows like how like well they get that, like, you know, that the themes of Gundam while still reinventing itself, you know, every time. And again, let me be clear, oftentimes it reinvents itself in really bad ways, but occasionally you get really neat stuff like this that could never have existed 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But then, no, the Shadiq changed the rules, so their startup can't happen.
Right.
And so go into the next episode where, you know, they say, hey, Shadiq, well, you changed the rules, you asshole, let's duel to make you change the rules back, basically.
Yes. We still need some WoW cool robot in this Gundam.
Yeah. But we gotta mix it up and do a instead
6v6 team battle.
6v6 Gundam Evolution battle, right? Like
deathmatch.
Gundam Evo, yeah.
And it's very good, right? Because on one hand, it's mixing it up, but also it is an interesting like departure from how Guel and Elan act, right? If we were thinking about these three as the main like rivals to be defeated by Suletta, right? Like Guel was all about his pride as a singular warrior. You know, Elan specifically scheduled their fight in a battlefield that was advantageous to his mech. And Shadiq doesn't have a shred of pride.
Yeah.
Right.
I will bring in my all-star squad of lady pilots.
Lady pilots, knowing that Earth House doesn't have any pilots, right?
Yeah.
Like, they got Suletta, they got Choo Choo. That's about it.
That's about it, yep.
You know, like, we're just gonna rope in some Venezuelans we found. But,
man,
I really like this fight. This
Yeah.
is one of the slickest fights I think Gundam has pulled off in a while. Not only because it's kinetic and exciting, but also because it's a little unconventional, right? Like
the way they string you along to the twist at the end, where you kind of realize what's happening right at the last second, is perfect. Chef's kiss.
It's really well done. I love it. I love, because a thing that's often come up, right, is like, because G-Witch doesn't have as many fights as a lot of Gundams, the fights that G-Witch does have tend to be focused on Suletta, right?
Suletta has to be there and Suletta has to win.
Right, and so some have argued that it's getting a little predictable, to which I respond, yes, I would certainly grant that, yes, Suletta was becoming dangerously overpowered in this setting, so to speak. And so I like this 6v6 because it specifically puts her at enough of a disadvantage that, like, the aerial gets pretty fucked up in this fight, you know? Like, it takes a beating. And it kind of shows that, like, Suletta is good, and once she kind of, like, turns off the targeting computer, so to speak, you know, midway through the fight, like, she does fight damn good. She fucking obliterates like 3 of the girl pilots.
But she's just a good human at that point, and not like
but she can't win a 1v6, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And the thing I really love about it is that, like, it kind of shows that, like, the Earth House kids, like, for being the, like, you know, shit heap poor like underdogs that they are, you know, them, you know, probably with there's a lot of there's an implication that this was all Miorine's plan, because if you go back to the tomato scene, the way she piles the tomatoes specifically hints that this was her plan, or this was her backup plan all along.
Right.
Was to lure Shadiq in a situation where he wouldn't see the snipe coming.
Right.
But it kind of understands that, like, these kids it shows that these kids understand they're not fighting in a war. This isn't a real battle. This is a duel, which means it has a win condition. So it doesn't really matter if 5 of us are taken out of the fight if we still get the ball through the goal, which is exactly what they do.
Yeah.
Enemy's gate is down. This is a war game. This is not war.
Yeah. When Suletta was like taking off the targeting computer, so to speak, and it seems like she's talking to Ariel, but there's not like a response or something. Was she actually talking to like Choo Choo and everybody, or was that?
No, I do think she is
talking over it was over open mic though. I think she was talking to Ariel, because we get the shot of Miorine being like, "What is she doing?"
Yes, there's that like look of confusion from Miorine. So I do think, but I think the conversation is more meant to imply that, like, Ariel is implied to be offering to help Suletta, and Suletta's like, no, like, we'll do this together, but I'm going to take the lead this time. Right?
I think I sort of called this like a while ago that they would use the anti-gun stuff that turned off all the bits, and it does turn them all off, but then like they start back up, right? Like it still works even after that, and everyone goes, "What?" And Lady Prospera sheds a single tear as she sees that it does work as she intended.
Because I think the implication of that actually is like maybe the anti-gun tech does disable gun tech, but by imbuing Ariel with some implied sense of sapience,
you can't turn it off.
It can merely just choose to turn them back on, right?
Right.
And so in a lot of ways, right, that single tear from Prospera is probably meant to imply, the culmination of all her planning, all the development, all the implied sacrifices that have gone into creating Ariel are bearing fruit in this fight.
Yeah. Suletta gets her character moment too, where turns off the targeting computer, because she like freaks out for a second. She's like, I can't do this without all of you.
Right.
Yeah.
And
then she's like, oh well, no, let me give it the old college try.
Like, I need to stand on my own 2 feet.
Proceeds to kill 3 people with 1 arm.
Right. And I really love the choreography here, because if you notice in previous fights with Suletta, the bits would always just blow apart whatever they were fighting, right?
Right.
But here in this fight, once Suletta takes over,
she's got the beam saber out. Yeah.
She shoots first, and then the bits finish them off.
Yeah.
And it's really gnarly, right? Like, there's just all those shots where she like shoots, and then the bits follow up to just dismember this mobile suit.
It's very good. Shout out to Choo Choo. I was like, when she goes down, and I'm like,
I was so sad.
I was like, man, they really did our girl like that, huh? And then the final, setup where she gets her moment is so good.
It was so good. I love that, right? Just like the twist of like, actually, because if you go back and rewatch the fight,
you're not out until they break your V-fin.
Shadiq's team kind of fucks around a little too much. Like, they
know they're gonna win.
Like, they cut off Choo Choo's legs, they cut off one of her arms, but they leave her head intact.
Right.
And they do that a lot to the other suits they're fighting, where they just dismember them or like shoot them in the head, but leave the antenna intact. And it's like, you got arrogant. You fell asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
Like,
you left the
like. And I love that, because like these are the types of things only mecha anime can do, right? Like, a mecha anime can have a character lose 3 out of their 4 limbs and say, "I'm not out of the fight yet." Like, I didn't hear the bell ring.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good.
It's great.
Yeah. So, really cool fight. I even like the little bits of pieces of like character building they did with Shadiq and Miorine, right? Which kind of imply that, like, of all 3 of the potential suitors, Shadiq may have been the one who actually had some like genuine affection for Miorine, but like,
too little, too late, as she says.
Exactly, too little, too late.
Well, Suletta and Miorine have to cut all heterosexual ties and move on. as bride and groom. But
Christ.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just good stuff. All 3
Yeah,
episodes. I'm really enjoying it. And I do feel like, in at least for now, embracing space capitalism in some capacity. I'm like a little curious where they're going to go with the bigger picture
Right.
now at this point.
Mhm.
Because I do feel like they're not going to really have a medical company, right? Like, this is going to have to turn into some kind of war, right? Like,
I mean, Gundam is a war story.
Yeah, like, so, like, where are we going with that? So
Right.
that'll be interesting. But, you know, the foundations here for, I guess we're really more coming up on what's going to be the second half, right? So, like,
Yeah.
we're kind of setting that up, but I'm really enjoying it. So
Yeah. One last shout out to the leak from the Earth
Yeah.
House.
Uh-huh.
And that utterly deranged just clash she has with Renee, I think.
Right.
The
How dare
the
you?
twin-
like,
stealing my 12th
How dare you shame
backup
my 12th
boyfriend.
backup boyfriend? Yeah.
just like, oh man,
What?
this is so
She's like, I didn't even accept his invitation to lunch. Yeah, it's just
right.
like,
And she's like, how dare you embarrass him like that?
yeah.
Fucking-
Part of me
Give
was
that girl a Gundam.
Yeah, part
Oh, yeah.
of me was kind of hoping she would get to kick a little ass. I don't know why, but
Yeah,
it
no,
just would have been funny. But
Yes.
yeah, good times. All right.
Ugh.
Well, I think that's going to do it for this one then. And we'll get to our housekeeping. So you can check us out at theglorioblog.com with year-end posts coming soon, right? Right, guys?
Oh boy.
Probably.
We're
Don't
still
do
on
this.
Twitter at the Glorio blog, or
Mm.
at yes, at the Glorio blog, not Glorio blog. Yep. And co-host at Glorio. And you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and of course YouTube, where you can like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, all that good stuff. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. We'll catch everybody next time.